What's up you guys, welcome back to a new video, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Elifraina and today we're gonna talk about Vanessa Guillen. I have made another video about this case already, so if you haven't seen that one before, I will link it up here and in the description box as well. I highly suggest you to go check that one first, otherwise this video wouldn't really make any sense. In that video I actually talk a little bit about who Vanessa was and what happened to her, so like I said, if you haven't seen that one yet, please go check out that one first and then come back to this video. But before we get into the video, go follow me on my socials so you'll get to know me a little bit better. The links will be down below as well. And if you haven't already, go subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications. And then without further ado, let's get into the second part of this case. So today in this part, I wanted to talk a little bit about all the things that are wrong in this case and about all the information that came forward in the two conference meetings that you can find on YouTube itself as well. And before we start, I just want to recap on everyone who is coming up in this story, just so you have a fresh mind of all the people that I'm gonna talk about today. So first things first, we're gonna talk about Vanessa Guillen. Vanessa Guillen is the girl that is missing in this story. She is 20 years old and she has been missing since the 22nd of April 2020. In this video you will hear about Myra Guillen as well. Myra is her older sister, and about Lupe Guillen. Lupe is her younger sister. I will talk a little bit about Gloria Guillen, and Gloria is Vanessa's and the other two kids, their mom. Also I will talk about Natalie Kwawam. Okay, so in my previous video I couldn't pronounce the word. Natalie is there. I'll put it here because I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. So yeah, Natalie Kwawam, I will just call her Natalie. And last but not least, we're gonna talk about Sylvia Garcia. I will not refer a lot to her, but she will come up in this story and I do want you to know who she is. So June 24, 2020, over 2 months that Vanessa went missing, the Guillen family, Natalie and Sylvia Garcia, spoke to the media after they had a meeting with the Fort Hood officials. Actually, this is the only part that I'm gonna talk about Sylvia Garcia. So she was at this meeting on the 24th, and she was at the meeting as well on the 1st of July. And she is the US representative for Texas. So actually, if you watch back the interviews, she and Natalie are the two people that represent the family. They talk the most in the interviews as well. And yeah, so that's what she does. But actually I'm not gonna quote her a lot on what she says, so just so you know. In this conference on the 24th, you can clearly see that the family Guillen has a lot of unanswered questions after speaking with the Fort Hood officials. So a question that a lot of people had, including me, is if Vanessa was last seen on the parking lot, shouldn't there be any cameras? And not only because it's a parking lot, but also because it's a military base, and you would expect from a military base that they would have a good security system, especially because it's such a big base. But Fort Hood claimed that they don't have any recording of that day, what I find myself really strange. I even read somewhere that they said that they don't have any cameras, and I don't really believe that. If that's true, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. How can a military base don't have any cameras? So I will just believe on the fact that they said that they do have cameras, but that they weren't recording. And like I said already, I find that really strange because it's such a big base. So if something happens, like what happened with Vanessa, you should have recordings of it. With such a big base, you cannot expect if something happens that someone else will see it and will report it or will bring it to light. Like, that's why you need cameras, for if something happens like what happened with Vanessa, that she disappeared on their base, that they have cameras that would tell us, like with who she left, what who was she meeting outside, or who saw her last. That's also a thing, because they say there is an eyewitness that saw her at 1 p.m. but no one talks about the eyewitness. No one says where they saw her. Well, they said that they saw her on the parking lot, but was she with someone? Was she alone? What did she do on the parking lot? Because it's quite strange that she disappears after someone saw her on the parking lot, but her car keys were still inside. So in this case, actually, we have a lot of questions that are unsolved. And with a lot of things that I'm gonna discuss today, the main question that popped up in my head is like, who is covering up? Why are they covering up? are they covering up? Because the things that they are telling, or the things that I'm gonna discuss today, it's unbelievable that no one saw it or that no one noticed it. Or let's just get to the next topic, but you'll see it as soon as we get through to the other points. But I can imagine that in the end of this video you will think, okay, Fort Hood base is covering up for one person, two person, maybe a group of people. So the next point I want to discuss are the checks that they do on the base. So actually they have multiple checks on a day. As we know, Vanessa missed the 10 p.m. check, and this was the check that made her family believe that she was missing. But also they have a check in the morning at 9 a.m. and this was the check that Vanessa was present. But there are also checks in the afternoon. I think it's between 3 and 4, but I'm not sure on that. But they have 2 other checks in the afternoon. Remember that I said that Vanessa was missing from 1 p.m. or that the last witness saw her at 1 p.m. Just imagine that she went missing or that someone took her at 1 p.m. Then she wouldn't be able to be at the checks at 3 or 4 p.m., right? Well, she wasn't. The supervisor who did one of those checks said afterwards that he didn't see Vanessa during his check, but he did put her as present. Okay, but tell me something that I don't understand, and this part made me mad when I heard it. If you are the one responsible to check your soldiers if they are there at the checks, that they should know that they should be there. And Vanessa, it isn't her first year, she isn't new. We all know that Vanessa was motivated and she loved to be in the army, so she wouldn't just miss the check without any reason, right? If you are the one responsible for those checks and you are noticing that one of your soldiers that you have to check isn't there, isn't it your responsibility to come forward and go look for that soldier? Especially knowingly that she is one of the soldiers most motivated, knowing that she wouldn't miss a check, like she wouldn't go against protocols. There should be like some sort of procedure, but at this point I don't believe that they have a protocol of it, and if they do, they are not handing it. And again, this is like the type of things that I'm like, what's going on Fort Hood base? Really, like, how can you have rules and not apply to those rules when necessary? Oh, I'm gonna be so triggered in this video. Okay, but the Fort Hood officials said that during the afternoon checks it was possible that someone went for lunch and that they wouldn't be there at the checks. And Natalie said it as well in the conference. That's not how checks work. If they're expecting you to be at a check, you should be there. And even if she did went for lunch or someone else went for lunch, that's fine, I guess. But why was she still put present? That doesn't make any sense. If you know that sometimes people are not at the checks because they went for lunch, or maybe they had to do something else for their work or whatever, don't put them present, right? Put them absent, find them and ask them for an explanation, like, why weren't you at the checks? And then they can give you the explanation, and then it's all good, right? Just tell me if it doesn't make any sense, because it does for me, but for some reason it doesn't make sense to this base. I don't understand. I'm really sorry. As you can see, I'm getting really heated over this, and we're not even near the end of this video. After this, Natalie said as well in the conference call, this is why we need a congressional investigation. The base comment did not provide us with the information they promised us. They were not transparent nor forthcoming. We got nothing. So you guys remember that I said that Vanessa was sexual harassed, right? So during this conference, we got to know what happened with Vanessa. So basically, Vanessa went to take a shower on base, and one of her superiors just walked in the shower, sat down and watched her. And honestly, I'm so disgusted by this person. Like, I can't imagine that someone would have the feeling that they have the right to walk in on someone while showering and then act like it's nothing. And this is actually also what she told her mom that happened, but she didn't tell the name of the superior. So actually we still don't really know who it is, and no one came forward yet about if they experienced the same thing, or maybe that they were suspecting someone, or that maybe Vanessa talked with them about it. And the thing that hurts me so badly for this point is that the Fort Hood investigators said on their Facebook page that they have no credible information or report that Guillen was sexually assault, sorry. And also the army itself, so not specifically the Fort Hood base but the army, answered several questions, and one of the questions was any comments about the family's claims about that Vanessa was sexually assaulted and harassed. And they answered with, we, the CID, have no credible information or reports that Vanessa had been sexually assaulted. Additionally, we are not aware of the report of sexual harassment from PFC Guillen or any other soldiers on her behalf. However, we are looking in all possibilities and have not unrolled any ins or out. Fort Hood has opened an investigation into reports of sexual harassment that the Guillen family has reported. So they are saying that they are going to look into it, but at this point, honestly, I don't know what to believe. I'm not sure, are they really gonna look into it? Are they gonna cover it up as well when they find it? Because like I said, when this interview with the media was, it was 2 months already that Vanessa was missing. And it was almost 2 months that they kept saying that they don't have any information, that they said that Vanessa went AWOL and that she just walked away and they couldn't find anything, no information. And this is my personal opinion on it, but how it feels for me is that as soon as the media got a notice of this situation, they wanted to like save their asses and act, let me say act with quotes, that they are really invested with this case. But how is it possible that in 1 week you find that much evidence and that much information about certain situations regarding this case that you couldn't find in almost 2 months? So I don't know, like I said, they are saying that they're going to look into it. Are they really going to look into it? I don't know. And actually that's the reason why they want a congressional investigation so badly, because it will be non-biased. Then it won't be someone from the army itself or someone from Fort Hood itself. It will be someone without any opinion or without wanting to cover up for anyone, who will investigate it and will bring justice to Vanessa. Like I said, I will link down below the links to the conference interview. I will just call it from now on interview, okay, because I'm not sure if it's a conference. It's not a conference call, so I'm not sure how to name it, so I will call it the interview, but I will link down the video to the interview. And one thing that Natalie said in the end is that a lot of information was held from the family, and I'm not going to state all of them, but I do want to mention one of them, and that is that Fort Hood didn't want to tell who Vanessa was working with. So basically, if you are working in the armory room, you should be working with in total 3 persons. Let's say Vanessa. Vanessa is the one that wants to enter the armory room. She has to enter with someone else because you're not allowed to go inside by yourself. The 3rd person will be like, let's say, what I understood, it will be like a guard that will be at the door. That person will like help you to go in. So actually you should have 3 persons going in. Who was the person that went inside with Vanessa? They would be the ones that noticed like, okay, Vanessa still haven't returned. Maybe Vanessa mentioned to them who she was meeting outside, because why would you leave her car keys, house keys, room keys, then ID and wallet inside if she wouldn't return back? Also the guard, I really want to know who that is and what his say is in this one, because if Vanessa went outside to go to the parking lot where she was last seen, the guard should have known about it, right? He also should have known that she didn't come back inside, right? So it's just really weird. I can't even believe if it's such a rule that you have to go inside the armory room with 2. If one of them leaves or to go outside, isn't it strange that just one stayed inside? Or isn't it just weird that just one of them left maybe outside? It's just a few questions that I have, and again, it seems like a cover-up to me. To you as well? Comment down below, because I really want to know if I'm tripping over this, if I'm speculating strange things right now, but for me it really seems like a cover-up. But why I wanted to mention that they went into the armory room and that they should have been with multiple people is because there was a text message sent from Vanessa's phone with a picture of the serial number of one of the guns to her supervisor. And this was against protocol. I'm saying it again. Vanessa loved her job. She doesn't seem like the person that would go against protocol. She will follow the rules. So why would you do such a thing? And they are suspecting that she wasn't the one sending this text to her supervisor. So like I said, cover up. Oh, and another thing that I wanted to mention is about the ID scans and the gates that they have. Another thing that I mentioned in my previous video is that if you want to leave or enter the base, you have to scan your ID, right? And that actually it would make sense for the Fort Hood base to look on the property, because Vanessa didn't scan her ID to go outside, as they could see in the records, if they even checked it, but you know what I mean. And her badge was inside, so actually she couldn't leave because they should have scanned her badge. She can't leave without her badge, right? Well, allegedly one of the Fort Hood officials stated that they don't always scan people in. They don't always scan their IDs for soldiers to go outside or to come back in. So can you explain to me what the reason is for the entire scanning thing if you're not doing it with every person? Because if you want to hold a record about who is entering your base and who is leaving your base for whatever reason, if you're not doing it consistently, what sense does it make to even do it then? And if they know as a base that they are not doing it consistently, I don't really understand why the first 2 or 3 weeks they only went looking for Vanessa on base, because they clearly knew already that you could leave the base without your badge. And if they are saying that she went AWOL, so she left, that's also a thing, because they said that she went AWOL, and I actually believe that they were like, okay, well, she just ran away, so we're not going to look into it too much because we're not gonna waste our time. Isn't that weird? That's the company, let's call it the company. That's the company where you work for then. But okay, so if you know that it's possible for soldiers to leave without their badge or without scanning their badge, shouldn't you go look for her like around your base maybe? I'm not saying like search entire Texas, but at least at the gates of your base you can go look for her, right? But they didn't. I just find that really strange. Gloria, Vanessa's mom, said during this interview as well that her trust in the base was broken because they refused to provide her with the information she deserved because it was an ongoing investigation. Isn't that weird as well? Like, Gloria is her mom. She should be the one you're telling everything to, so she will be up to date, right? Why are you again covering it up for the family? But still, she received information from other soldiers that did know certain points in the investigation that she didn't know. And in the interview, she said, "It's not fair that they know and I don't. I seek justice, that they respect Vanessa as a soldier who is serving the country. I want my daughter back alive. I want her alive because she entered Fort Hood alive. God forbid if my daughter turns out dead, shut this base down. She was my life." So now I want to move on to the second interview that they had on the 1st of July. But before we do that, I want to state something about the 30th of June. So on June 30, 2020, a couple of men who were building a fence noticed a smell like decomposing. I think that's how you say it, decomposing, and they went to investigate where the smell was coming from. When they arrived to the place where the smell was coming from, they found something that looked like hair coming out of the ground. They called the authorities, and soon after they found human remains in a shallow grave near the Fort Hood base. So Army investigators found human remains along the Lion River that was east from Fort Hood, and they suspected it to be from Vanessa, but they weren't sure yet. The reason why they weren't sure I will discuss in my next video, because I will make another video with more like a timeline. It's horrible, it's really bad. They couldn't confirm yet that it was Vanessa, but something else that came to light is that when they suspected to find Vanessa, they didn't even call the family to say like, hey, you know, we think we found your daughter, we are not sure, but we are busy doing our research, so maybe you have to come over to identify her, or something like that. The family wasn't connected. Okay, so I haven't talked about this person yet, and his name is Tim Miller. He is quite an important man on the background of this story, because okay, let's see if I can explain this correctly. So he has a sort of operation, 20 years already, where he helps the authorities looking for missing persons. And I honestly, I didn't like really research it, but I understood that his daughter went missing as well 20 years ago, and that since then he started this operation, and he was the one to tell the family that they found human remains, because when they call the authorities, he was also one of them to go investigate to see if it was Vanessa or not, or if it were human remains or not. Okay, so moving on to the 1st of July 2020, the Guillen family made a 22-hour-long drive to Washington DC to hear when they arrived that the night before they found human remains that they weren't sure if it were Vanessa's. After this happened, they also had 3 suspects, and 2 of them were taken into custody, and the 3rd person Myra actually met when she visited the base, and he laughed at her, and she directly knew that something was wrong. And in this interview she said as well, I met him not knowing he had something to do with it. I felt something was telling me he did something. He had the nerve to laugh in my face, and then he killed himself. Yeah, by the way, so the 3rd person killed himself. The person that we're talking about is Aaron David Robinson, and like I said in my previous video as well, we have talked about him already. He's the one who called Vanessa over to bring some paperwork, and this isn't confirmed yet, but he's also the one they suspected to harass her in the shower. Rumors had it that the Fort Hood base already knew that Aaron was one of the main suspects in this case. Even that when they found the human remains, they told Aaron to stay on base and stay in a room and don't leave. And what did he do? He left. And tell me again where your security is, because if you're telling him as a base to not leave, why is it possible for him to leave? When investigators found out that he left, they went looking for him, and they found him 2 hours later, 7 miles away from Fort Hood. Neighbors in the neighborhood where he was found saw him running barefoot in shorts. Other witnesses stated as well that he had been running for 2 hours. So as soon as he left the base, he took a run for it, ended up 2 hours later, 7 miles away from the base. And when investigators finally found him and wanted to approach him, he shot himself. He pulled out a gun and he took his own life. And maybe it's a stupid question, but the first thing I thought when I heard it was like, where did he get the gun from? Okay, maybe it's a stupid question because maybe he had a gun of his own in his car or whatever, I don't know. But the first thing that I thought was like I explained already, to get into the armory room where all the weapons were held, you had to go in with one other person, and someone had to check you. And I'm not sure if this is all speculation from my side. I would imagine that if you want to take out one of the guns, you have to like sign a reason to take it out. So again, covering up speculations. Did someone handed him the gun? Did he have the gun in his car? Did someone cover up when he went into the armory room after they told him to stay in another room on base? Did someone cover up for him and let him out with the gun? We don't know. Honestly, we don't know. Said a lot of questions built around that as well. And another thing, what I didn't understand at that point, how is it possible that there are no cameras in the armory room? Okay, maybe there are cameras in the armory room, but for as far as we know now, he wasn't filmed in the armory room. If he took the gun from the armory room, if the gun he shot himself is what from him or whatever, or from the armory room, or what else. But how is it possible? I don't understand. Like I just don't understand. And honestly, like, okay, So honestly, let me just spoil a little bit about this. We can all tell that Aaron is the bad guy in this story, right? I will talk about it in my next video. But why I am so mad that he killed himself or even got the chance to kill himself is because the family has so many questions and he is one of the only persons that would be able to give them their answer, and he took his own life. Why? Because Fort Hood Base told him to stay inside, but he could have left. That's one of the things. And okay, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, let's just move on. Vanessa's younger sister Lupe spoke as well during this interview on the 1st of July, and I'm gonna quote what she said. And she said, "They are covering up for each other. How can this happen on military base while she is on duty? They take it as a joke. My sister is not a joke. My sister is a human being." And actually every time, I'm sorry, so I'm just gonna be honest for a second. Every time I read about this case or I listen to the interviews or I listen to someone else talking about this case, I just get tears in my eyes because it's so unfair that this could happen while she's trying to protect their country. I think her name is Linda. She made videos about this as well. She said it as well. How is it possible that so many, not only Vanessa, but that so, sorry for all the noise, I think they are working, I'm sorry, but how is it possible that so many soldiers are dying on base? They're not even in combat. They're not even in another country fighting for their country. They're just on base and they're being killed like it's nothing, like their life don't matter at all. Okay, sorry. I'm getting a little bit emotional because this, I can't. I just can't. And actually reading what Lupe said and what Myra said as well, but also what Gloria said, you can hear their voice, and it's so heartbreaking because if you watched the interview and you notice that she said these lines, these 2 or 3 lines that I just mentioned, you can just hear the pain again in her voice, and it's so heartbreaking. I can't even imagine what they're going through. And Lupe continues saying, "If this could happen to my sister, what makes you think that this would not happen to another?" And she is so right. Like, this isn't the first time this happening. I do believe that on the Fort Hood base there are so many bad people walking around there, and maybe not only on the Fort Hood base but also on other bases, but especially the Fort Hood base. I don't believe that it's just one person or just like a group of 4 or anything. I do believe that it's a bigger group. A lot of people are coming forward already via the I am Vanessa Guillen, we are Vanessa Guillen hashtags. I do hope that a lot of them from Fort Hood will come forward as well. I actually do understand if they are not ready to share their story because it's not nothing, you know, but just to open the eyes of the government or for what everyone in the US, that this base is corrupt as hell. They should close the entire base down and investigate all of those people there, all of them, lock them all up. Because how is it, I'm just gonna repeat myself again, how is it possible if you are signing up to serve your country that your superiors are killing you? How is it possible that you are serving your country but the most dangerous part of it is being on your own base where you should feel at home? Natalie also explained that if certain type of assault happen, they should go to report it to their supervisor or superiors. But another thing, how could you go to your supervisors or superiors if they are the one doing it? She also asked that there should be someone else that is non-biased about the reports that are making about assaults, so that everyone could get their justice and that it wouldn't be covered up because they are buddy with some supervisors or some commanders or someone who did the assault to a younger soldier or a lower rate soldier. I think that's the correct way to saying it. Another thing that I want to talk about quickly before I round off this video is a sort of conspiracy theory that I talked about or that I thought about, is that Aaron ran for 2 hours, and like I explained already, I'm not going all over it again, but like I explained, how is it possible for him to escape if they said that he had to stay there? Okay, he ran for 2 hours, and as soon as investigators found him, he shot himself. And it's clear now that Aaron isn't the only bad person there. Like I said, I think it's the entire group. But what if he shot himself with the idea that he couldn't talk, that he shot himself to protect others on base? Or I don't know, just let me know what you think about this. I'm not sure how I can explain it. My battery is running low as well, so I do have to run it up really fast now. But let me know down in the comments what you think about this case, what you think about the theory that I have. Actually, I do believe, I don't know why, but for some reason I have the feeling that Aaron shot himself to protect the others on the base. Let me know your theories down below. Let's have a talk about this case. Let's bring Vanessa Guillen's name into this world. Share it with your family and friends. Everyone should know what happened to her so she can get justice. I will come back with another video where I will specifically tell the timeline of everything, so be on the lookout for that. If you want to see that one, turn on post notifications, because like I said in my other video as well, I don't know when I will put these videos out because I will not put them on my regular upload dates. I will put all the links with the all the links that I use down below. I will put the petition down below, and I'll put the fundraiser down below as well in the comments, so go check that out. Thank you for watching, and thank you for wanting to share Vanessa's story and bringing it to light, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.